Amanda here, and I hope you're having a really good week. I'm under the weather, and I wanted to come on here and talk to you about what do you do when you are sick, your family gets sick. There's life events that happen because I get this question a lot. And you know what's so funny is I was going to actually share with you a clip of a question and answer that I got on a coaching call that I hosted earlier this week. But the thing is, I was sick when I hosted that call. I am down with that, you know. Um, and I forgot to hit record when I was hosting that coaching call. And, Chris and I were talking about like, how do you move forward when you're dealing with a brain fog and you're dealing with feeling under the weather? Maybe you've got COVID, maybe you've got something else that is not allowing you to operate at your best. And at first I was like, oh, I'm not even going to do a blog. I don't have that recording. And Chris reminded me of one of the top things that we do around here. And I wanted to share it with you. Number one, never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Having a conversation about what does it take to keep moving forward. We've moved forward over the last 5 years with our coaching business in very large part simply because we don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Would it have been perfect to show you that amazing, coaching exchange? I don't know if it would have been perfect, but it was what I had in mind. And obviously I can't do that because I didn't hit record. And our mindset usually goes into when we set our sights on a plan or a vision of how we think something ought to go, we tend to fixate on that one solution. And it's a version of all or nothing thinking. And it's a version of perfectionism. It's a version of, if I can't have my way, then it's no way, right? It's no way. My way or the highway. And one of the biggest gifts that I have had in my life in the last few years is really just learning to let go of needing things to look the exact way that I thought it was supposed to look. So, I get this question all the time. How do you move forward if, this specific thing happened to me? And, in our programs, we have a requirement for our guarantees. So we offer really beautiful guarantees on our programs that we will continue to work with you until you get your results. And this varies by program, but basically we will work with you if you continue to work with us. And one of the ways that we ask that you continue to work with us is that every week you are showing up in the program. And typically showing up means you are submitting a question of some kind. Well, I recently posted in our programs a reminder that this is a requirement for continuing in our programs. And you would not believe how many people sent in an email or a private message of some kind telling me about their specific life circumstances that have prevented them from showing up the way that they would like to in the program and therefore their business, and have prevented them from getting what they wanted in their results. And that's what's prompted me to want to talk to you today about this blog and this principle of never letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. If you engage in this all or nothing thinking, what ends up happening is you let entire weeks and months of progress go by accident. And this is how people let lifetimes go by without ever going after their goals, without ever launching that program, without ever launching that business, without ever changing that career, without ever getting out of debt, without ever changing their health, without ever improving their relationships. It's basically the tendency of humans to always kick the can down the road. And the problem is that we always have a perfectly rational rationalization. And the thing is that a lot of coaches or, people that are trying to help will say that's an excuse. And here's what I'll tell you is like the emails, the calls, the reasons why people are, not feeling like the feelings when I say, hey, you got to participate in order for us to continue to work with you, is because they're getting all these feelings coming up. And here's what I'm going to tell you. Whatever excuse is coming up for you, it's totally valid. I have COVID right now. That's valid. That is valid. I'm tired. I am tired right now. Like, I'm nursing myself here, and it is an exhausting moment right now. I'm in a season right now that I don't have the level of exuberance that I normally have. It is a valid thing. And the whole idea of perfect being the enemy of the good is what most people do with this is they say, I cannot do anything. I cannot do anything. I think one of the biggest differences in how I may be handling things versus how I used to handle things is I used to say, oh, I have an illness. I cannot do anything useful towards my goals. I cannot think about my goals. I cannot journal about my goals. I cannot open my laptop and talk on a camera about my goals. I cannot post something to the internet about my goals. And the real capital T truth of the matter is most things related to building a coaching business are fairly low energy individual tasks. They are often intimidating tasks if they are the first time that you are doing them. And with this all or nothing thinking pattern, this bias to all or nothing, it's easy for us to say, hey, I've got this life complication going on. I better not do anything towards my goal. And the trouble with that is then we don't do anything at all towards the goal. So whether the goal is building that coaching business, getting that marketing going, getting that program launched, or let's face it, whether it's making a better health choice for our nutrition or our movement or our relationships around us or building more quality friendships, whatever the goal is, if you think about it, there's this natural tendency to insert a very perfectly rational and valid reason why we don't need to make movement toward that improvement of a life goal. So one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Most of the change and improvement in your life is not going to come from these big declarative changes. I've had big moments in my life, where I accepted the proposal from my dear husband, Chris, and I moved from, Canada to the United States, and I quit my corporate job. There's those big moments, and those big moments are very exciting. And I will tell you that most of the success and the real transformative embodiment of change has actually come from these tiny moments of commitment to change and tiny moments of commitment to, I'm going to make a positive decision in the direction of my dreams, in the direction of my goals, and I'm going to nudge this thing forward in this moment. And I do this literally hundreds of times a day towards my various goals. So for example, I have COVID right now. I could very, very, very reasonably and rationally say I am going to do nothing towards interacting with my community. I'm going to do nothing towards, you know, continuing to progress my goals of, you know, contributing to my content. I could say that. Honestly, I just started Bridgerton. I could watch another episode of Bridgerton. It is good. Or I can take the 10-15 minutes and record this video for you, post it, and honor that process, and, you know, make that small sacrifice, and honor the goal, honor the struggle, right? And I think that I feel better knowing that I have done that, and I'm not feeling that I'm pushing myself to such a degree that I'm compromising my recovery from my illness. You know, I'm not pushing myself to run a 5K today, because that would not be a thing I would do, especially not living in Texas. But turning on my camera, I didn't pressure myself to put on makeup. I did not pressure myself to do a bunch of fancy transitions and editing today. I was like, you know what? This is what we lovingly call the BAM, the bare ass minimum. I'm going to do my BAM today because it's about nudging the goal forward. Never let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Do the good. And this shows up everywhere in my life. This is the same with showing up for my relationships, my children, my husband, my friendships. You know, I want to show up in my life, and I want to show up for me, because when I show up for me and I show up for my business and I show up for my husband and my kids, I feel the best. It's when I feel like I'm in retreat from everything and I have to excuse everything from everything that I feel the worst. So I'm going to just kind of punctuate that as a final thought today. I'm the only one that can make the decision about what is the most important thing. And that's the same thing for you. No one can tell you what is the most important thing. You're the only one that can get very present to what is the reality of my choices and what are the consequences of these choices. And am I making a short-term decision that has a long-term consequence that I feel good about today? And is there just like a little nudge I can make towards my goal? Am I stuck in all or nothing thinking? Or can I give myself permission to give just like a little bit of an extra nudge towards my better future? That's what I want to leave you with today, because that has changed my life. We'll see you soon.